Yo, it's that time. Get ready to unwind with Jillian on the mic. The best you'll find. Pop that cork. Let's start to chat on the Polywine podcast, where it's all that. Join the crew as we dive into the scene. Current events heated. Know what I mean? Jillian.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Well, last week we went over some pretty heavy stories, and in the spirit of the holidays, this week let's just do a quick recap on some hot topics, and let's get into the lighthearted stuff, and I'll tell you what to watch while you're traveling for the holidays. So let's get into it, shall we? So last week we went over some stories like the tragedy at Brown University. Awful. We also discussed that unthinkable tragedy that happened in the Reiner household, that happened to Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. His son did appear in court several days later, and I don't think his legal team has entered a plea yet. I think they said they needed a little bit more time to kind of assess everything and then present their plea. But yes, he did appear in court. The charges were presented to him. We will see where that will go. Will he have his day in court? Will it go that far? I don't know. I guess it all determines on the plea, but I kept thinking to myself, first of all, we've discussed his attorney, Alan Jackson, the defense attorney. Superb. Fantastic. We watched him during the Karen Read trial. Amazing. It was, I said then, masterclass performance and job all the way around. Phenomenal. So if it does go to court, will there be cameras in the courtroom? I just keep thinking back to the Menendez cases. Like, that's the last major kind of Hollywood case like that where such a heinous crime happened against parents in their home. And it was just shocking. And, and it was that court case was sensationalized everywhere. I remember watching it at a very young age and seeing cameras everywhere on TV. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. So it was just crazy. And I kind of wonder if this is what's going to happen there. Will there be cameras in the courtroom? If so, what is that going to be like? And this is like Hollywood royalty. So who is going to show up in that court case? Who's going to be called to the stand? Because his friends were like A-list celebrities. And I mean, it sounded like everyone loved Rob Reiner and his wife. They sound like they were really incredible people, and did a lot of really wonderful work. So it's just an awful tragedy and loss. But what is that going to be like? It's something, but it is just such a terrible case. And for that poor family, I am so sorry. It's just what an awful situation to have to deal with. And right around the holidays, it's so sad. I am just so sorry. So that happened last week. We also had what everybody was kind of talking about and waiting for, from Capitol Hill to all over, definitely international. UK, I'm sure you were probably waiting for it too, that on December the 19th, the DOJ had to start releasing information about the Epstein files. And they did. Some. So that right there was a major hiccup. There was already backlash. People were crying out. Like, first of all, the victims were like, this is not fair. This is not what the bill calls for. You're supposed to release all the information. We're just getting a slow trickle. What's happening here? And some others in Congress said the same thing, like, you were supposed to release all this information. This wasn't supposed to release when you can. So the backlash is already coming there from not only members on Capitol Hill of Congress, but pretty much all over, from the victims to the media and to just everyday Americans who want to know, like, look, if the court has to release this stuff, then they should have to abide by the court, right? That's the question. So their response is, look, there is just so much information. We need to take teams to kind of redact information to protect victims and all that stuff. So it's going to take some more time. So for some, they're like, okay, we can understand. For most, they're like, no, that's not what the bill says, and you're not complying with the law. So now you have members of Congress saying, if you don't comply with the law, then do we have to take legal action? So this is kind of where the discussion is here. And then we realize on Monday, they're like, oh, we're going to drop some more information. So there's a major docu-drop on Monday of more information related to the Epstein files and pictures and emails. And of a lot of people are really starting to come out in this docu-drop. And then today we find out that the DOJ just came in about 1 million more documents relating to the Epstein. Like, how are you just getting 1 million more documents now? Wow. So, of course, there's like, this is going to take some time. And we have to have our specialists go through, redact, and all that. And the redacting, that's a whole other point of contention itself, because people are like, whoa, like, you are redacting way more than what this bill calls for. Of course, you need to protect the victims, but it seems like you are picking and choosing what is being redacted. And there are sections that are completely redacted from top to bottom, not one word on any page. So that's a little suspicious, according to some. We shall see. I, of course, want to see everything. Look, if everybody has to comply with the law, and if you have to have something by a deadline, you need to make that deadline. I understand that's a short time frame. I don't know. We're going to start getting more and more and more. We're getting these docu-drops here, there, but I got to tell you, the people on the internet and the media, they're going through as fast as they can. And look, some things are being heavily redacted. Some things probably not redacted as much, according to those who are going through it. Look, I'm just like you and everyone else. I'm reading the news and what I can find online, and I'm listening to the news and all the different outlet sources. I want to know what's out there as well. I'm getting and reading just what everyone else is. So it's really interesting to see who is coming out. That was an association. And we're not saying that everybody that's in a picture had a direct association, right, with this man and whatever network he had. It is interesting that in some of the recent docu-drop is that there were 10 co-conspirators that keep coming up. And that's, of course, some of that information's been redacted. But then are we going to get any of those names on that list? And it is interesting. You got to love the internet sleuths. They are strong and mighty and powerful and relentless. So when I tell you they are doing the work, they are doing the work. And somebody, I forgot, where was I reading it? They were saying, I don't know what team was doing some of the redacting, but it's very clear that they were using Adobe Acrobat. So we can go in and kind of copy, paste, and kind of go back and fill a lot of this stuff in. So whoever was doing some of the redacting clearly wasn't aware of what they were using. So this is what one person was saying online, and they were trying to find some of this stuff that was redacted. Of course, nobody wants to give any information out of the victims. It's all the other stuff that seems heavily redacted and probably unnecessarily redacted. Everyone's like, hold on, let me see if we can figure that out. And with AI and everything else that we have right now, yeah, it could easily come out. So let's see what else comes out. Who else is going to be in the list of names? Who else is going to show up in the pictures? What other creepy artwork or letters? Some of the letters and emails pretty incriminating. There's going to be a lot of cleanup from a lot of publicists coming out about some celebrities. I have a feeling about that. Former Prince Andrew, whatever your name is now, Andrew Mutton Bound, whatever the fuck it is, who knows? By the way, I don't like Mutt. Even being in that name, I think that is very disrespectful to adorable, sweet mutts. They deserve better than what this guy is giving. Disgusting. And like his name is just coming up everywhere, and emails and inappropriate friends in some of the emails. Ooh, this guy is just such a piece of something. I would almost say work. It's just gross. Just gross. What are you guys going to do over there in the UK? Like, are charges going to come against him? I know he's being stripped of everything. His titles, his royal duties, his home, his lodging, his income. Good. He's discussing. He should be in jail if this is true. And I got to tell you, pretty gross, incriminating stuff. Like, everybody is just separating from him as fast as you can, and you should. Gross. And not only just this, he just seems like, in my opinion, a total freak. We've all heard about the stories with the stuffed animals. Okay, he's got a thing for stuffed animals, and he's got like weird Piccadillys, whatever. Yeah, can we just turn him in? Like, these are some pretty heavy accusations and allegations that are coming up in these investigations from the past. UK, what are you going to do? What are you going to do and step in and say, I think some charges need to be brought against this man because he's nasty. I even was reading, like, he was stripped of his gun license. Like, he has nothing there. Just get this man needs to be behind bars if these things are true. And I got to tell you, pretty bad. And allegations that are coming out against some other high-powered people. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And the White House, I don't know what your approach is going to be to tackle some of this stuff coming out, because it does not look good. The optics, pretty bad. I don't know what you're going to say. Carolyn Levitt, are you just going to yell at everybody in the White House press room? Like, what's happening here? But it's bad. But a million more documents. They just came in. How many more docu-drops are we going to have? But let it all settle. Let it settle in. We need time. We need to read this information. We need legal people to go through these documents. We need just everyone to have time and go through it so we can start problem solving here, figuring out names, timelines, receipts, email, so we can start putting these clues to the puzzle together. How many people are going to go down with this? How many cases are probably going to spiral out of these files? Are the statute of limitations up on some of these? I don't know. I think there's just so many legal questions, and what legal things can come down the road stemming from this. I don't know. I don't know. But it's going to be fascinating. Now that we just touched over a few hot topics, now let's work our way into the world of entertainment. Did you see the fight on Netflix between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua? Well, that was something. Of course, anytime it says it's going to start at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., you know that the main event's probably not going to happen until about 11:30. I don't know what was going on with the audio with Netflix that night. Not great. Not great. I do like the setup on each match, right before each fight, how they have the intro, they have a singer come out to represent each fighter. I like that. Although I really wanted to hear the performers come out. Like with Jake Paul, he had a rapper, couldn't hear him. Couldn't hear anybody that was singing for the main event. The only performer I could hear out of all the fights, and by the way, you sounded awesome, was like the electric violin for the female fighters. That was the only performer I could hear. I know there's a lot of background noise. You have the people in the stands, you have the announcers, you have all that stuff going on, but usually you can hear it pretty clearly. But there was something going on with the audio, but it was unfortunate. I wanted to hear some of the performers. That was a big opportunity for them. I don't really think that they got a fair play there. But like I said, the one I heard was the violinist for the female fighters, and that guy sounded pretty awesome. All the fights were really good, in my opinion. The women, yeah, God, those women, they fight till the end. The one lady from Canada, like she stayed in as long as she could. She put every effort into it. It was a valiant effort, but yes, that was a tough fight to watch. All of them are good, but let's get to the main event. Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. I am new to the world of boxing. I've discussed this, but the last several major events that they've had or on Netflix, I have enjoyed watching. I still watch half of it like this because it's tough. It's tough. I have a hard time watching people beat up each other that way. I have a difficult time with it, but it is entertainment. But that scene, that hit, that Anthony Joshua, oh my God, made on Jake Paul, that was tough. Like, what was happening? Why was Jake Paul falling all over him? Was it A, to delay the fight? B, was he just that tired? And when he leaned in, he was just like, my legs gave, and he slid down because, they're just greased up everywhere. So did he just like go to like latch on, just like slide down? What was happening there? Like, and it's you could see like the ref was getting agitated. He was like, you can't delay time. You got to separate it. And I understand that you want to have some time in there. Like, people were annoyed during the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight. It was quick, it was over fast, and I think that annoyed a lot of people. And sure, there was a lot of talk about it. But this one went 6 rounds, okay? So, decent amount of time. And Jake Paul looked exhausted. And, you can say whatever you want about Jake Paul. You got to give it to him. And Mike Tyson said that too. He's like, look, this guy shows up, he trains, he's a fighter. And whatever you want to say about him, what you view his skill set as a fighter, that guy brings the viewers, and he's bringing the passion back to the sport. So, you know what? I agree with Mike Tyson on that. Yes, he is definitely bringing the viewership back to it. I mean, the numbers are huge. I don't know the numbers on this performance, but the last several major events that they had, I want to say like the last one, it was like 68 million. It's something I'm recalling off the top of my head. I want to say it was something around there. So pretty good numbers. So this had to be massive as well. I am not familiar with Anthony Joshua until this event, and I got to tell you, wow, that man is a perfect athlete specimen. I mean, that guy is in shape. He looks like he is solid muscle. He is just in prime shape, and he looks so strong, and he's huge. What they say, he was like 6'6". I was like, oh my God. And when he stood over Jake Paul, you're like, oh yeah, he's huge. He's massive. He is massive. And look, I enjoyed the panel of announcers. I really do. The commentators that night, I think it's good. But again, what was going on with the audio, especially with the commentators? But there was one point where I was trying to hear Layla Ali, and I really like her in a fight. I think she's great. She's straight shooter. She is direct. She doesn't beat around the bush. I like her. She's legit. She's awesome. And she was like, look, I got to tell you, because when somebody was speaking before her and they said, look, Jake Paul said he would fight anyone, anywhere, and he is today. And she's like, look, Anthony, he is a real fighter. He is a real heavyweight champion, an Olympic champion. And, and he's going to be fighting Jake Paul. She was like, Jake Paul has no business fighting this man. She said something to that effect. And I was like, oh. And then they kept talking about the size difference and the comparison. And then when they got in the ring and they, punched gloves, I was like, oh yeah, that 5 inches. And was it 30-pound weight difference or something like that? Oh, you could tell. And I got to tell you, there was a few times when Jake Paul was sliding down, or he would go in and lean on to Anthony Joshua. And you would just see Anthony Joshua there was this one time he just smacked him, and he smacked Jake Paul in the side of the rib cage. And it just is like, oh, it sounded like he just punched a sandbag. And I was like, oh my God, that sounded like it hurt, and he could have cracked a rib, and it looked like he barely was swatting a fly on Jake Paul. Like he just swap, but this sound was like, boom. And I was like, oh God, that had to hurt. And he did a few of those. And I was like, that just feels like you could just feel it vibrate through his body up and down his spine. That's how hard it sounded on my end. So I can't imagine how it sounded in that ring and how bad it hurt. I can't imagine. But of course, it just sounded like me. I thought, because I was watching it with some friends, and they were saying, why is this guy not just taking him out? It's a lot of money on the line. So let it play out. I want to see a little entertainment. Sure, let it play out. But then, you could just see, I thought that he was just letting Jake Paul get tired. Jake Paul was all over the place. He was bobbing and weaving and dodging, and he was quick. He was quick. I got to give it to him. He was fast, and he was doing all these maneuvers. But that taunting of that tongue thing with that, I don't like that. I think that shouldn't be allowed. But the second time he did it, I'm like, that would piss anybody off. And you are going to get it so bad. That man is huge. He's massive. And then you can see when Jake Paul was getting tired, and he was getting really, really tired. I was like, oh no, he's getting him in the corner. He's getting him in the corner. And once he got him in that corner, he did that combo, and that punch, that right hook that just nailed Jake Paul. You saw his jaw move over, and you're like, oh God. And you just see him go down. And, you got to give it to Jake Paul, the ultimate performer. He fell down, was like, whoa. And he tried to get up. The ref who jumped on him was like, nope, it's done. It's called. It's over. He saved that man. He saved that man, because if Anthony Joshua would have come in and given him one, who knows what could have happened? It would have been so bad. Jake Paul, I think, is very fortunate that he only walked out with just a broken jaw. I mean, we all saw the images of the x-ray, of the CT scan of his jaw. Oh, it looked so nasty, so painful. But here he is after the fight, just talking to the announcer. Yeah, he's like, yeah, it was a great fight. And just talking away. I think I have a broken jaw all the way. And I'm like, why are you talking? Just say, I think I have a broken jaw. I need to go see a medic. That's all you need to say. Don't be like, yeah, it was a great performance. Da, 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 da. I need to train on my cardio. He is quite the performer. But we saw him in the hospital. We saw the images of the jaw. We know he had to lose a few teeth in the surgery. Nasty. You rest. Take your time. I don't think there was any guess on who was going to win that fight. I mean, Anthony Joshua, huge. So two men, both 28 years old, both in great shape. But yeah, can't deny Anthony Joshua, hands down. What a powerhouse. And he was just like, I'm a little disappointed that I didn't take him out sooner. But I think in my opinion, I think you probably made people happy that at least there was something to watch. The other fights, there was so much leading up to the fight, and there wasn't really a main event, too much to, entertain us with. This one, you gave us something. And at the end of the day, they had to split, it was between 180, 184 million per, so a little over 93 mil to each fighter. So enjoy that, Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. I gotta say, Netflix and the sports, you're rolling them out, getting better. We got each time, you've got some kinks. Like, remember, you had some lag time in the Jake Paul Tyson fight. During that whole live golf event that you have in Vegas, which is pretty cool, there was some major hiccups there. So we're working out the kinks, but I really like your streaming live events. I think sporting events, I think they're really good. And of course, they also have some big events coming up over the holidays as well. So stay tuned and enjoy. But yeah, that was something to watch too. But again, congratulations to all the fighters. They were all really good matches. And I say the women they always impress me the most. They give it everything that, oh my God, the poor Canadian fighter. I couldn't even look at her eye. I was like, oh my God, somebody please help her eye. I can't look at it. It was really messed up. Poor girl, but she gave it everything. And for her debut fight in the US, great job. But to the women, amazing. To all the fighters, great job. So as we're talking about live streaming events and things like that on Netflix, well, I gotta tell you, Netflix, I do love your documentaries. And I came across one the other day that I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. It's called Murder in Monaco. And it is about the death of the mega wealthy billionaire Edmund Safra back in 1999. And how he died was quite bizarre. He was this extremely wealthy, mega billionaire banker. And he was a banker that was affiliated with, you name it, anybody in that extremely upper tier of wealth, like royal families, those oligarchs in Russia, and high political figures, you name it, he some way somehow was affiliated with it. And how he died was suspicious, and those around him became under suspicion. And it takes this turn because there was conspiracy theories about how he died and who did it and the court case, and you name it, it was all over the place. And this documentary gets into it, but it really focuses on one individual that was close to the case. And that was a former military guy who's American, who was one of the nurses for Edmund Safra. Like I said, American guy, former military. He was one of several nurses. And he was with the Safras the night of this incident happened. And it's interesting because one of the safest places in the world, there's not a lot of crime. It's the playground for the extremely wealthy. So really not a lot of crime. The ratio police towards people, it's pretty crazy. Very high number. I want to say it was there's one police officer for every 60 people. There is something, I think I heard something like that. And so very little crime. So how he died was very suspicious. He died in a panic room with his nurse. There was video footage that there was some intruders, that there was a scuffle. he, Edmund Safra, and one of his nurses went into this panic room, and the intruders, for whatever they were looking for or whatever, why they were there, ended up setting this penthouse on fire. And why it took so long for anybody to rescue him, because they ended up dying from like smoke inhalation. Like when the police got into the panic room, like they were like melted into the chair. It was just awful. So he ended up dying from like smoke inhalation and basically being burned. Awful, because it took the police so long to get into the panic room. So it sounds like the whole investigation, how long it took for them to get in there, like that was a whole issue. And there was a conspiracy theory behind that, kind of breaking out like what took so long, why, who would have wanted this man murdered. And the interesting thing is they focus on the one nurse, because this nurse was on duty the night these so-called intruders broke in to this penthouse apartment. And he said he encountered the intruders and he ended up being stabbed and he blacked out. When he blacked out, that's when the rescuers were coming in and stuff like that. And he had no idea what had happened, but he survived. Well, in the investigation, the police were like, something's not adding up. And they ended up basically blaming this one nurse, this American nurse who's former military, and they blamed him, charged him, and he was convicted. Yes, he went to jail in Monaco. And his whole contest to these charges, like, look, I was stabbed. I blacked out. There's no way I could have murdered my boss. My boss was very good to me. He gave me a wonderful life. Why would I hurt the man that basically fed me and gave me a life that's comfortable? So, but upon investigation, there was some pretty sketchy things that came out about this guy's past. And the other nurse who was the head nurse testified against him. And the court case, she's like, I don't trust him. I think it was sketchy. He wasn't supposed to be working that night. He decided to work that night. There's things that just didn't add up. And yeah, I think it could be him too. I think he's suspicious. So he ended up going to jail, broke out, and then got sent back to jail. So, and then years later, this guy gets involved in this whole other thing. Like, it's just madness what the things that happens to this guy. And they're interviewing like his old Italian cellmate that he had in Monaco. He's like, the guy was an imbecile. And if I could count all the things that would follow this imbecile around, I'd be a wealthy man. But that guy, shady, but kind of funny to watch him in the documentary. He was like, yeah, I'm not trusting that guy. I'm a criminal. What do why would you trust me? We're going to break out. And they basically hatched a plan to break out, and they were going to help each other. And as soon as they broke off, the Italian guy ran, was like, I'm heading for freedom. See you later. Sucker. And yeah, pretty funny. He's a criminal. So that was interesting. That was kind of interesting. But then, and like some of these documentaries that we talk about, remember the one was The Staircase, and several other documentaries we talk about in the past. So like where the documentary starts off like, I had no idea. This is what the people making the documentary, that when I started to make this documentary, however long ago, I had no idea that it would have A, been years to make, B, it would have taken me down this road, and who would have known we would have ended up here? Like the twists and turns we go. So yeah, that's kind of where this documentary goes, because first you start off with this bizarre murder in Monaco, and years later, it's all these other things. He's on the run again. He's calling the guy who's made the documentary. It's crazy. And, you got to feel for this guy making the documentary, because he's just like, I don't know what's happening. But of course, like, I want to know what's going on because I'm curious. But geez, I had no idea it would have led me down this path. But that was just unexpected, but an interesting watch. So if you're on a plane or need a little time to kill the holidays, go watch Murder in Monaco. If you kind of like documentaries like that, like a real crime who did it, maybe a little conspiracy theory details behind it because people are like, did it happen? Did it not happen? And things spiral. Plus, the guy that was convicted of it, Monaco, the former nurse, an interesting individual. So you make your own decisions about it. So Murder Monaco, Netflix, go watch. And on Netflix, and if you need a good laugh on Netflix, a new stand-up dropped. Yes, Dave Chappelle dropped a new stand-up. And one of my favorite comedians, no question about it. Some like him, some love him, some not so much, some think him, some believe he's too controversial. You know, isn't that the sign of a good comedian, right? Is that in controversial topics or sensitive or difficult topics that they can make you laugh. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You don't have to get mad or angry or cancel. Just turn it. I thought it was funny. There are some comments that he makes that some are going to find risky, some are not going to like. You may or may not agree with. I got to tell you, I don't agree with a lot of the things that he said, but I do laugh at a lot of it. So, if there's one thing, and I've said this before, that I think makes a really great comedian, he's one of the best, and that's why he makes all the money. He's freaking hilarious. I think he's a comedic genius, but his stuff holds up over time. The Dave Chappelle Show, way back when, yeah, it's got a little age to it now. It does. It's hard to believe how long ago that show was on air. But when you see clips today, especially some of the political ones that they clip online, it still holds today as well as it did then. So there's something to be said about that. That's talent. He can reach anything. He can break through the difficult topics with sarcasm and wit. And the one thing that I think that sets him apart from pretty much most comedians is he's a phenomenal storyteller. He takes you through a story, an experience. And while he's talking, you're drawn in. You feel it. The emotion is there. He's taking you on that journey. And you know you're going to get some sarcasm, harsh comments, and some funny shit along the way. And that's what makes him great. Some people are already coming out, stating their displeasure with some of the comments that he made. Yes, some people are not going to like it. But that's kind of one of the things Dave Chappelle is known for. He tells you what he thinks. He doesn't hold back. He does discuss that in the beginning of the special. You know, a couple years ago, I was almost canceled for making statements about transgender. And I was, you know, a lot of people not that long ago were pissed at me because I did a comedy show in Saudi Arabia. So what are you going to do? So he talks about all that stuff. But I think that's what makes Dave Chappelle stand out over anybody else. He's a great storyteller. Most comedians, they give you stories that are quick and relatable. You know, my family, this. It's fun. It's a quick joke. He takes you on a ride with his story. Sometimes they're lengthy, and he'll say sometimes, stay with me now. Stay with me now. I know it's long. And he brings it all together. When he's talking about the Falcon, and he's doing that, I kind of lost it every time, the Falcon. So look, Dave Chappelle, he's one of the best for a reason. And you know, you might get some cringeworthy moments. You may hear some things that you might like, and you might be like, oh, that's a tough one. But that's what you're going to get. And no matter what, you're going to laugh. So Dave Chappelle, new stand-up special on Netflix that just dropped. And if you want to do something a little fun for the holidays, let's go to a game on Netflix that's kind of a new craze. I had no idea it was as big as it is, but it's kind of huge. Have you watched the show? Is It Cake? Huh? My daughter loves the show. I watched it with her. She was sick last week, and we binge watched a lot of it, and I enjoyed it. And we all know that whole kind of craze on TikTok and Instagram, fake or cake, where you see people cutting into stuff and you're like, is it cake? Is it this? Is it this item? Could it be an orange? Could it be a piece of brie? What is it? And they're doing the videos. Is it this? Is this? Is it fake? Is it cake? Well, that is entertaining in itself. So they have a show called Is It Cake, where you have some truly, truly incredible cake designers and bakers and just they're artists. Some of the stuff is just it's breathtaking and just wow. It's definitely got a wow factor. But it's also delicious. So I mean, not only are you got to be a chef, you got to be an artist. So they make these cakes of a complete replica of some object. And then they have to make them so perfect that they put their cake with a decoy and a couple other decoys in front of judges. And judges have like 20 seconds and a panel of judges to decide which item is either real and which one is cake. And they, of course, want to find which one is cake. And the bakers have to make it so realistic that it fools the judges. And I got to tell you, I kind of like it. It's a fun watch because it's a trick to the mind and the eye. We don't know, even as the viewers, we have no idea which is the real cake. We see some of the cake as they're assembling it, but we don't really see the finished product until it's mixed in with everyone else. And we're trying to decide, the viewers, which one's the cake and which is the decoys, along with the judges. So they have 3 judges that are celebrities. And I love the fact that the celebrities are geeking out over the contestants on the show. They're like, oh my God, I love this show. I'm such a fan. I just love it. And they get so into it because they have 20 seconds. This cakewalk spins. You have 6 to 9 versions of this one design. Like, okay, I'll give you like one design. They had like a Christmas cookie jar. They had different varieties, and one is a cake and the rest are decoys. And the judges have 20 seconds to decide which is the real cake. And sometimes they get it, but it is really hard. And they get so into it. And so do we. Like, my daughter's like, dude, it's too. Like, she was so into it because it is. It is a trick of the eye and the mind. And I think that's why everybody likes it. And it is kind of soothing when you see them cut into that cake. And my question is, hey, do they eat all the cake? Please tell me. They donate it, they give it away. And how many cakes do they go through in each episode? Right? And it's a lot of cake. And they have cakes on set, and they have cake as decor and decorations, and they have games. So it's a cute game. I like it. And it's a fun, the holiday one was fun as well. So go enjoy the new game craze. Is It Cake? There is another documentary or docuseries, I guess you could call it, that came out on Apple TV Plus. And with all the joy of holiday and Christmas and the excitement, well, this kind of docuseries gets into the flip side of what could happen with joy goes a little too far with the holidays. And this is called 'Twas the Fight Before Christmas. And this is where this guy, who is an attorney, is very overzealous when it comes to the holidays. And this is set in Idaho, by the way. And this guy loves Christmas. He goes all out decorating. And one year he decided that he was going to put out on social media that the whole neighborhood and everyone could come view his house. They're going to have hot chocolate and cotton candy and stuff like that because he wanted to spread the holiday cheer. Well, it was a huge success, and it ended up being just complete mayhem for everybody who lived in that neighborhood. Thousands and thousands of people showed up. It caused traffic jams and this and that. And, when you have that many people, you don't have a lot of security, it can get a little risky. And they do get into who they hired for some of the security at these events. And I got to tell you, I don't know. These are the things you need to think about when you go to these holiday events and light shows and things like that. And you go through like neighborhoods. So you want to enjoy the holiday spirits. And look, we love driving around, seeing holiday lights and seeing shows like that. But you do need to think about these things. And this docuseries puts that in perspective. Well, this man had this festival one year, did it another year, keeps getting bigger every year. So he decides, and him and his wife, they're going to go all out and make it a mega deal. They buy this home in this really nice, quiet neighborhood that is big enough that they can really go all out with the Christmas decorations. So they move in and they basically don't ask and inform the HOA, this is what we're going to do. And HOA is like, that kind of falls against a lot of our guidelines. So they said no. And the gentleman who wants to do it is a lawyer, and you hear him say it constantly. I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, which is very off-putting to anyone, which means I'm a problem. That's what I hear, translation. I'm a problem, I'm a problem, I'm a problem, anytime this guy says this. And he immediately just goes all in for like full-on war with the neighborhood. And they fight back like, look, our neighborhood's not able to handle this. This is a nightmare. The security, the safety of our neighborhoods. It's just all these rules. So it ended up going to court. It went to court, and for a long time, in multiple situations, it went to court. Then there were appeals and things were overturned. But this documentary starts off with this gentleman who's an attorney. He was like, I am one of the only people banned by federal law that I can't do Christmas decorations and host Christmas holiday cheer, something to that effect. And he was like, many people told me not to do this documentary. I might come off looking bad or maybe even crazy. And as you're listening to this man speak, I mean, within the first few minutes and throughout the entire documentary, you're like, oh God, this guy, you should have listened to your friends. You should have taken the advice of friends. That was good advice. Because this documentary does not make you look good at all. We've heard in our local news that there's been fights with homeowners and HOA with Christmas lights. And I'm like, why? Humbug. HOA, what's the problem? And then when you hear this story, you're like, okay, I get it. I get how it can go terribly, terribly wrong. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't want to live next to this guy either. It sounds like a nightmare. So it was just interesting to see the legal case and the neighbors and the HOA and how long it went on. It was nasty. It was ugly. I felt for the female who was the former HOA head. I felt bad for her. And then you kind of got to feel in some way for the wife of the guy who's the attorney who started this whole fight with the HOA, because they have been dealing with legal cases for years, the financial burden they must go through. And the lady even said, like, you could see the stress on her. And I kept saying, girl, why are you still with this man? My opinion, you look so miserable, and he doesn't care. He's tanking you and your family just so he can be right in this situation. That's it. I won. That's all he wants. Validation. And you can see you're saying, if we lose this, it'll be like $1 million case, and it will be bankruptcy. And you can just see the stress and the pain on this woman's face. And she's just trying to support it, but she's like, I'm just done. She's like, I moved into this house and I thought it was going to be such a great opportunity. And I wanted to make my neighbors like cake and cookies and have memories. And it's never going to happen. You're like, oh, like you kind of got to feel bad for this woman, but you're like, girl, walk away. Walk away. Like this poor girl looks like she's just going through mental anguish, and the poor kids, one day they're going to see all this. They're going to be like, so this is what happened. I get it now. So interesting to watch. While we're talking about entertainment, we always kind of like to close out a little bit on Bravo. What's happening there? What's going on our Bravo shows that we love? Well, Beverly Hills, the Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. I said it then, I'll say it now. I think Rachel Zoe, great addition. Love her, and I'm really into it. She's got a strong personality. She's well established. So I like that people are coming in, like, not giving her like that initiation. Plus, she's already been on Bravo for a long time, way before anybody else. So she's already got the Bravo creds and she got the celebrity creds. She's well established in Hollywood. Yeah, so nobody's given her like the new housewife initiation at all. The new girl Amanda's getting it, but not Rachel Zoe. And I'm really liking her with her advice with Sutton and how she's a talker. And I like that. You can tell she's a talker and she's a straight shooter. I like that. And I also love the fact, which is everything. She's like, I will put on a full cat eye just to go to sleep. I'm like, girl, I get it. I feel it. I get it. I love a cat eye. So I love that there. I think she's great. This new girl, Amanda, this wealth and financial, what is she? An advisor, guru, whatever the hell she's calling herself. It's giving me charlatan vibes here. And anyone who says manifest that much, I feel it's a con artist. It's a con artist. You need to manifest. I manifested it. No, hard work gets you there, honey, and some wits to you. I got to give it to you. Whatever you did, it's working, and whomever has bought it, you're selling yourself well and your financial thing. But it is all coming out this past week in this last episode with Bose, because it all starts to unravel a bit. Because Bose is sitting down with this new girl, Amanda. She wants to get to know her, and with Dorit. They're all giving her a chance. And Dorit's going on about all this stuff, which, Dorit and PK and their divorce. And look, you can say what you want about PK. You can say what you want about Dorit, their marriage, whatever. It's pretty shitty what she's going through. It's a mess, and anyone's got to feel for her on some level. And they're discussing the financial disaster that is coming her way. Whoa, it is. Wow, it's a lot. When she's talking to her, you're like, oh, you are backed into a major financial corner, and I don't know how you're going to work your way out of it without selling everything. I don't know. But in this meeting, Dorit's going through all this, and she's talking about, because her and Bose are really, really close. And Amanda's this financial guru. And so Bose is like, okay, Amanda, you're the money person here. What can Dorit do to help tackle the problems at hand immediately? What are the first things she's got to prioritize? And what's the plan of action here? What are your thoughts? And of course, she's like, you need to discuss your intentions. Who do you want to be? What do you, in this manifest shit? And I'm like, what? And you just see Bo sitting there like, I think she's trying to be polite in the moment. She's just like, And then you see her in the interview, and she's like, what is this? I thought you are the financial person. I asked you a question expecting, A, B, and C. This is what you need to do. 1 + 1 = 2. She's like, none. What are your intentions? She's like, the math is not math, and it is not. And I was reminded the other day that, let's not forget. So, Amanda's got these seminars and these books that she's selling. Bose does seminars too, right? So there's a little competition there. And Bose is in the top tier of executives, right? She's worked some of the Fortune 500 top companies. She is up there and worked her way to get there and worked hard. And she knows bullshit when she can see it, smell it from a mile away. Oh, she's going to be all over this, and she is. And we already know that there's a major fallout with this girl. It's just not going over well. You hear so many of these housewives sit there and inflate a lot of their credits, their job, their experience, and their life. So it's nice to see when somebody's like, oh, that's just bullshit. Let's be real. Let's be real. Okay. And just don't get enough of that. So I like it when Bose calls it out. And I want to see, is there a little competition here with the whole seminar thing? But it sounds like they all go in on her. Will she make it another season? I don't know. Because right now, I got to tell you, we need some story on Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills has always been the number one show in the Real Housewives franchise. So we need a story here. People are getting a little bored of the same old, same old. I'm bored with Erica. I am bored to tears with Kyle. All right, Dorit's bringing her pain to the table, so we got something there. There's a story. Bose is all over the place, so she's got stories happening everywhere. I really did like the speed dating thing. I thought that was a nice, fun twist. I'm loving Jennifer Tilly. Give me more of her. I think she's fantastic. Yeah, I'm ready to see them go in on this new girl, Amanda, and they are. We see some little clips coming out, and they definitely are. But now, let's get over to the Real Housewives of Potomac. We all know that I like my Potomac Housewives women. You are not giving me much this season, but I do love me some Tia. Each week, I think I like Tia a little bit more. She cracks me up. She even said, she's like, I'm an onion. I've got many, many layers, and some of them are complicated. And they are. The one where she was talking last week, she has a half sister who she found out when she was 12, and that whole dynamic there, and with her mom. And yeah, that seems deep. But she seems to be putting a lot out there, and I appreciate that. And I think she's funny, and there's some humility there, with a very complicated background. No, she'll joke about it. She's like, "This is what happens when you send me to, a boarding school." So I think she's really, really funny, and I really like what she's bringing to the table. I am so disinterested in Stacey. I know some people really like her. I know Andy Cohen talks about her often, that she brings a lot. I think she brings nothing. And now this season, she's bringing her ex-husband, husband. I don't know what that status is. She's bringing him around. You don't need to. He is very uncomfortable on camera. We're getting that. Oh, he's bored. He's stiff. I don't need him. Can we please get rid of Stacey? I feel nothing. Karina. It is hard to watch this whole relationship with Greg. And Giselle's right. She's like, honey, he is not ever going to marry you because you've let him know that he doesn't need to. And I was like, listen to Mama Giselle. She's been right pretty much with most of these relationships. When we go back and we see the footage about her talking to Monique. And back in the day when she was having relationships or issues with her and her ex, Chris Samuels, Monique's like, you were right on the money. And she's like, This is what life experience tells you, lady. Listen to your mamas and your aunties, girlies. Listen to us. This is what we're here to tell you. But Kierna, you did say something really, really funny when they Ashley let it slip that she made out with Shay Shay's son, Sharice's son. She was like, girls, had your old sons, had your young sons, had your daddies, because Ashley's going to get them. And I was like, it's pretty funny, Kierna. You're right. You're right on that one. Ashley's going. Ashley doesn't have a type. Usually, if there is a type, it's one that you need to check to see if they still have a pulse. Old, ancient is typically her type. We all met her ex, Michael Darby. We all saw her on Love Hotel. Okay. She definitely kind of veers in one lane a lot. So we see that, but she's right. Hide all of them, because Ashley is beautiful. She's single and she's living life. But we're getting more with this whole Wendy stuff. We haven't gotten into the financial stuff or the legal stuff yet with Wendy, but we're going to. I thought we were going to get a little bit of that last week. Not yet. Keep me hanging, Bravo. I don't know how I feel about that. But we keep getting, I don't know if these are go back late edits when they talk about the renovations and the mom and the money, my money. They're talking about the money, they're leaning in. And this week, we come back to the whole conversation. Remember, we were talking the other week how Wendy was bringing up wanting to reconnect with her dad. And the mom and the sister, like, it's a hopeless cause. You shouldn't. The guy's, he's notorious for letting people down. So why are you even going down that path? Because you're just going to be disappointed. Well, we revisited this week. She comes in, she invites the sister and the mom over to see the finished product of the renovations. And I got to tell you, they keep talking about the renovations and the cost and this and that. And then when you see like the charges and the allegations, is it fraud? Or like, it's not looking good. Look, these are allegations. They are pleading not guilty and they'll have their day in court. But this is not looking good to say that they didn't live beyond their means. Like when you see like ching, 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 the tally looks like it's just adding up quickly and big numbers. Oh, they're just showing these renovations here and there, and there's like a water feature in the background and new lighting and a floor and marble walls. And the mom's like, oh, girl, you must be making so much money, money, money. But to see Susan go off today, Wendy, shut the bleep up and this and that, and how she stormed out and the sister, I was like, wow, she's a firecracker. Look, I'm not trying to put any words in anyone's mouth, but I can see where Susan might feel slightly betrayed because she's like, this man never had a moment in his life for you. He left you and your sister and me with nothing. I had to work multiple jobs. I raised you on my own, and look how successful you are. And that's a product of me, our hard love, and our strong unit together. It had nothing to do with him. And I think that's the pain that Susan was trying to say. But man, she popped off. She was throwing her arms around, and the sister's trying to like negotiate, like mediate things. It was a lot, but to see them editing the stuff with the money and the renovations, all the stuff that they're putting out there with all these financial and fraud allegations against the Yosefos, it does not look good. Shady on the editors on the show. I feel it's a slow buildup. They're building up this money thing. They're painting a picture because when that episode airs about when they were arrested, and you know that Bravo was driving over with the cameras as soon as this shit happened. You know they were. That's what they do now. After the fallout of whole Vanderpump things, that's what they do. Stuff goes down, doesn't matter. You're filming, not filming. The cameras are there. So I am all in this moment, but the shady editor, it's good. And that case, that court day's got to be coming up soon. So we're going to be talking about, but there's a lot more to discuss. So much is happening in the Bravo sphere. But that is it for us today. Happy holidays to everyone out there. Please get to your destination safely and join us next week on Polywine. Follow Polywine on Instagram at Polywine Time, and listen to Polywine wherever you get your feed. Thank you so much. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, and we'll see you next time. Bye.